You have, of course, you had a very good run with Star Wars too, didn't you? Because you've done every bit of the franchise, including the electronic games and the Pez dispenser.
Yes, it's not my voice on the electronic games, and it's not my voice on the Pez dispenser either. But it's my voice on all the movies. Yes, that's what happens when you're in Star Wars. They make little versions of you, and they're all over the place, and they crop up in the most unlikely circumstances.
Do you have a full collection at home?
No, I don't have any of them at home. I give them away quickly if people give them to me, and I try not to sign them. Not that I'm very cruel to young fans, contrary to public rumor. It's just, where do you stop? So I had to make a rule about that. I almost broke it in New York, and that was almost fatal. But for example, when I'm here, I say, yeah, I'm very happy to sign the program for the show that night, because it proves they've come to see it too. I got asked to meet George Lucas out of the blue one lunchtime, because he was looking for someone very old, or someone to play very old, and he cast a very old person, but they weren't insurable because they couldn't take, and they were painful, the yellow contact lenses. So suddenly, he had to find somebody, and Mary Selway, late, great Mary Selway, casting director, who knew me and knew my work, had recently seen me at the Royal Court play, in a Sam Shepard play the old decaying Henry Hackamore, who was really Howard Hughes. And I guess, although we never talked about it, and I never talked to George Lucas about this, that she had said, I know this actor, I've seen him close to, theatre upstairs, play Howard Hughes, and that would excite George, could be interested in Howard Hughes, and so he might be able to play old. Get him along. So along I went this one lunchtime. We talked with Richard Marquand, the director of Return of the Jedi, about everything under the sun and nothing about Star Wars. He said, thanks, very nice to meet you, and off I went. I thought, well, at least I've met George Lucas, that's fine, that's interesting. The phone was ringing when I got back, and my agent said, you've got the part. I said, oh, great, what's the part? And he went dryly, oh, well, you know, it's called The Emperor of the Universe. So I said, well, I suppose we'll be doing it then. So, and you know the rest, but that's how it happened. So it happened as a whole series of happy accidents. And then when I got under the mask, I realized you know, I didn't have to do too much. But the voice then became very important. And George then had imagined that he would continue the voice of Clive Revill, who'd voiced the character, Creature, I believe, is an American actress superimposed over a monkey in a mask as my character in Empire Strikes Back. And I suppose he'd imagined that he would have used Clive Revill's voice. He'd have asked him if he wanted to do it, just as he used James Earl Jones's voice. And I said, well, I think if Clive Revill were seeing now what you've written and what I'm doing, he wouldn't do it like that. He would do it much deeper and sort of, he said, what do you mean? So I did the voice that I did. And he said, okay, that's fine. But I've only realized this quite recently, actually. So while I was doing it, everyone seemed very supportive, and it was all right. And then we went in for the dubbing, and practically all of the film was dubbed, redubbed. It was then, not now. Because they had to, because of the studio noise, the technology, all the microphones, you know about that, et cetera, et cetera. So I was going in to dub the whole part, really, at a studio in Maida Vale. George was there, of course, the editor, and so was Steven Spielberg, who I'd not met. And I sort of did the first bit. And Steven Spielberg was very complimentary and said I was really evil and all sorts of things like that. It's fine. And I went on, did the rest of the day, went out to lunch and did the next day, and it was all fine. But looking back on it, although again I've never talked to George about this, I reckon he wasn't absolutely sure that the voice I was doing was the voice he was going to end up with, or he needed his friend Steven Spielberg's confirmation that it was a good idea.